So now let's welcome. We are so honored to have our Dr. Wong. He's on the line. So Dr. Wong is a medical. Hi, Dr. Wong. Hi, Dr. Wong is a medical doctor with 20 years of practice experience in Australia and Singapore. He's also a fellow lawyer, College of Surgeons and Academy of Medicine. So currently he's staying in Australia and also regularly provides services to the Singapore local hospital. So if you guys have any questions, you may leave it in the chat and Dr. Wong will attempt the questions if time is available. So let's waste no time. I will hand over the mic to Dr. Wong. Welcome, Dr. Wong.
Oh, hello. Thank you. Okay, good. Sounds good. Let me share screen. Here you go. Bear with me. Okay. All right. Thank you for the invitation. Hi, Lily, Singapore team. Shout out to people in Malaysia, friends from Australia. We are all locking this together, and to New Zealand. The difficulty with teaching any medical disease is balancing between a health talk, recognizing some people don't know biology, and trying to make it detailed enough so that you comprehend the disease. So let's give it a go. Now, diabetes is a direct translation from the Greek term pass through. Oops. Okay, so what it means is the term that you hear is diabetes, but it really is diabetes mellitus, which means sweet urine. Hence the term 糖尿病, sugar in the urine. Now, how in the world does sugar get into your urine? And here's how we start the story. A bit of perspective, why is diabetes such a big problem, and why do we need to know more about it? And the reason, and taking the Singapore statistics, you can see as of 2014, about 440,000 Singaporeans, that excludes PR and foreign workers, have diabetes. And so you're talking about 1 in 9 Singaporeans have diabetes. Now, what's the problem with diabetes? What's the big deal if I have sweet blood? The big deal with diabetes is that you have risk for certain bad things. Those bad things include stroke, heart attacks, kidney failure, and I'll explain to you why you get these a bit later down the track. But the main thing is the cost of the disease. You get the illness, bad things happen to you, you can't earn as much money, you spend money on the drugs, spend money on dealing with the complications. So I have no interest or investment in health products in a sense, you get what I mean? But it makes some sense to invest in looking after your bodies and on prevention, and hence this talk later hopefully will inspire you to listen to the talk after to invest in your own well-being. Anyways, moving on. Oops. Now, in order to understand what happened in diabetes and therefore also understand how we can look after ourselves, is to understand what happens when we eat. So this person is eating a burger, but we could very much eat anything else. If you can see my arrow, the food goes into the digestive system. And within the digestive system, many enzymes get into play, but the one that is of interest is glucose, all right? The diagram here shows you that after you take some foods enter your system and a lot of things happen. So it's like once you join one of your team members and you go for your coring, a lot of a lot of things happens. All right, as individual, nothing much happens, but when you get together, many things happen. So it's a bit like that. But okay, so this is a bit of understanding about what glucose, which is the energy block in your body, happens when you take it. So bear with me, a bit of sciencey thing is going on here. So the glucose goes in your body, which is the building block for you to do stuff. So like now I'm up because I've eaten dinner, I've got glucose in my body. If I've not eaten dinner for say 12 hours, I'll be grouchy, tired, mumbling because I have no energy. So glucose is the powerhouse to give you energy to do things you need to do. But it's like like all the money you earn, not all of it you spend right away, right? So there is the excess glucose goes into two main storages. One is called glycogen. Uh, so just suffice to know, glycogen is short-term storage. It's like money in your wallet, for instance. And then, but the one that is of interest is the one that becomes fat. So too much glucose at one time, if you don't use it straight away, it becomes fat. So just keep that thought in mind. Now, the next thing you need to know besides glucose is this thing called insulin. What in the world is insulin? So insulin is a particular hormone that comes from this organ that's just behind your stomach called the pancreas. So this is your stomach, pancreas, and the pancreas is located just under the rib cage. You may have heard of the pancreas only because the pancreas is there's a particular cancer that comes to the pancreas, and Steve Jobs died for it. But our story today is not on pancreatic cancer, but it's on insulin. So insulin, next diagram. Let me go back a little. So insulin comes out to help the body process glucose. Now, the body is a very complex machine. And so this diagram will show you in scientific terms what happens. So when you eat your food gets chomped up and releases this powerhouse of molecules called glucose. But glucose will sit in the blood and do nothing because it's like if I have a bun on the table and I'm hungry, but the bun sits on the table and doesn't enter my mouth because I haven't picked it up, I'll still remain hungry. So the glucose is a bit like that. It will float in the blood and it needs to get into the cell. But if it doesn't get into the cell for whatever reason, the cells have no energy. And so that's where insulin comes in. Insulin, so this is how insulin works. Insulin is like a little key. It sits on what is called a receptor. So receptor is like keyhole. And as when it sits on receptor, like it shows here, it opens the door and let the glucose come in for use. So it's a bit like insulin might be my mother who says, hey, you can eat the bun and say, thank you very much. I grab the bun and eat, and then I'm no longer hungry. Now, why are systems like that? God only knows. All right, this is the way God created us. So a simplified diagram would be the steam fire engine. Imagine all the coal here is your glucose, and this is your cell that needs a coal to burn. But if you don't have insulin to bring the coal to the fire, your fire eventually run out and your coal just stays here getting wasted. And so that's in a simplified term how insulin and glucose have their relationship, yin and yang of glucose and insulin. Now, just to give you an idea of how complicated this is, just notice so that when your kid who studies biology asks you and you can answer and sound impressive. So what happens is when you have high sugar, so this after a meal, the high sugar in the blood goes past the pancreas, who senses that you have high sugar and releases insulin. When it releases insulin, it tells the cells to take up the sugar, and the sugar goes in, and therefore decreases the sugar levels in your blood, and the blood uses it. But at some stage, the blood levels of glucose will drop, and then you need more glucose. So there's a short-term storage, which is called glycogen, which is a complex glucose that is in the liver, and the liver will sense that it will release. And then you have other mechanism, including telling your brain, hey, my friend, your sugar is low, you're actually hungry, go find something to eat. There'll be me at midnight after this talk. Glucose, you become fat. Not so quickly though. Now, diabetes, okay? So you may have heard, so diabetes is when all this go wrong. How does this go wrong? So you may have heard type 1 and type 2 diabetes. I'll just quickly mention the term that you see here called gestational diabetes. This is insulin and glucose goes a bit haywire. Diabetic situation, which normally goes away when the baby is born. So for husbands who do not appreciate their wives, being okay. So type 1 diabetes are the thing. It is just pure bad luck. So about 10% of people have type 1 diabetes. Pure bad luck in that by genetic factors or some autoimmune process, the cells that produces insulin in the pancreas just get destroyed. How do you prevent that? You can't. It's just pure bad luck. So it's 10%. The 90%, which is type 2, and I'll explain a bit more. The type 2 diabetes is the one that you can prevent. And if it happens to you just because you're genetically inclined for it, you can, by behavioral change, you can prevent it from getting bad. Likewise, some of the actions you do can also slow down the complications that you can get with type 1 diabetes. So this slide just shows you the type of type 2 diabetes and why it happens. So I'll just briefly mention, since we are learning so much about diabetes. So remember I mentioned the autoimmune diabetes. So you can't do anything about that. It's just pure bad luck in life. There's also so the type 2 diabetes come about because sometimes there's not enough insulin that comes about to help your body deal with the sugar load. There's also insulin-resistant diabetes, where you produce the same amount of insulin, but your body needs a bit more now because your body is so used to a certain level of insulin. It needs a bit more. It's like, say I take a coffee of a certain sweetness, then after a while I find that sweetness not sweet enough and I add more sugar. There's also obesity-related diabetes. As you get bigger in size, these two factors come into play. Too little insulin comes out, your body gets used to a certain level of insulin and it needs a bit more. Then there's the unfortunate thing where age comes in and all system kinds of break down, and it results in these two effects, which is you're either deficient or some resistance. So this one, in a sense, is not preventable, but you can slow down its effect by what you do in life. Okay, so to explain a bit about insulin resistance that you see, and so this is reflects lifestyle, mostly a high carbohydrate diet. So in a high carbohydrate diet, so carbohydrates, the smallest unit of carbohydrates is glucose. So it breaks down the glucose. So high carbo diets, beg your pardon, like your hamburger. I want to say bak chor mee, but I really love that. Maybe add more vegetable next time to your mee. gives you constantly high glucose in the blood. Initially, you can deal with it, but eventually, with a high, so you get high glucose and you get high insulin coming in, and eventually your cells are used to that level of high insulin to deal with high glucose. So which means that the next time you will need a higher amount of insulin. Uh, why does that? Why is that affects? Why does that affect your body? Okay, and I'll show you a graph that explains it in a while. So basically, it's this. Imagine this is your sugar level, where you feel where things are okay. Sugar dips slowly, and you get this below this green level where it tells your body, hey, you don't have enough sugar, and it sends signals to your body that you are to your brain, say, look, mate, you are hungry, you need to eat. So if you eat a high carb diet, what happens is the sugar level shoots very high. Because it shoots very high, the insulin comes in very quickly to bring the levels down. Okay, so when it brings the level down quickly, so it will attempt to bring the level down quickly, and sometimes it overshoots. Now, two things happen when when insulin does that. When it shoots at a higher than usual amount, it also uh, tells your body, look, you obviously have a lot of glucose. I'm giving out a lot of insulin. You need to convert some of this glucose to long-term storage, which is fat. So this high amount of overshoot, you start building fat and you become a bit bigger. At the same time, because you are overshooting, even though you have just eaten, your body now tells you, hey, I'm hungry again. So you go and grab that hamburger or the fried Hokkien mee without the vegetable, and up the cycle begins, and what you have is a vicious cycle of just sugar waxing and waning. So this is the usual end result. So excuse me, I'll just take a sip of water. So this vicious cycle happens. I suppose could say this was me at some stage before I changed my lifestyle, and we hope this wouldn't happen to many people. Anyways, anyway, you will hear testimonies later of people going backwards, which is a good thing. So moving on. Now, with diabetes, the diagnosis of diabetes comes with your annual health tests, where you go and they do a bunch of tests, and they see your sugar level is high and they tell you a plan. But most people go and because of certain symptoms, and the blood test is done and it's picked up. And let me tell you some of the symptoms that you may feel. So people pee a lot. And the reason for that is because when there's lots of sugar in the blood, what happens is that blood cannot take a certain thickness. So like you put a lot of sugar in the blood becomes a bit thick, and you will tend to want to dilute or make it less thick, and you make it less thick by drinking more water. And you know what happens when you drink more water? You just pee more. So that's what happens. So you go and pee a lot. And sometimes this pee is sweet, and people might notice, hey, why is the toilet filled with ants? And so that's how it starts with the regular peeing and lots of ants, and that brings to the next thing, which is you have increased thirst, because for the same reason that the body wants to dilute the excess sugar, so you get thirsty and try and dilute it. The next thing is you are more hungry than usual because the lack of insulin means your body is not using the building blocks of the glucose, and the glucose is disappearing. And as a result of that, you are finding yourself hungry constantly because you're not getting enough energy. And consequence to that is therefore you are now losing weight, because all the energy that you're taking doesn't get converted to, all the substrate or the glucose you're taking doesn't convert into any form of meaningful energy and building block, and therefore you lose weight. And like I was saying, no energy, always tired. Now, this is the consequence of abnormal insulin glucose relationship or metabolism, as they call. The other thing is you find that you can't concentrate. You lack the ability to focus. I mean, some argue that's what happens to us all the time nowadays and age, but this is, you are even worse, because what happens is that the sugar levels in your brain goes up and down. Remember the chart? So your sugar level goes up and down. So more often than not, you have very little glucose or energy in your brain, and therefore it's also hard to focus. It's the same reason as being tired for energy, so that all the energy in your brain is also gone. Now, the next few numbness in the hands, blood vision. Now, that is the effect of too much sugar in the system. All right. The sugar is going to the wrong place. The sugar is affecting the nervous system, and therefore the nervous system is not sensing things properly. And one of the first things that goes is the ability to feel. We term this thing called peripheral, meaning far away, neuropathy, meaning nerve-related problem. And that's the first thing that goes. So some of your diabetic friends, if any, will tell you they have numbness all the time. And that's why they can't feel things as well. And because they can't feel, they can't react. And sometimes they get wounds they get injuries that they didn't know they are aware of, get infected, and things don't heal. And that's why there's a higher rate of amputation of legs and hands, or legs mostly. And the same thing goes with the blood vision, because it affects the retina, and I'll show you a picture in a while, and even increases your cataract, the chance of a cataract, and so that affects your vision. The frequent infection is the high sugar, likewise affects the immune system, and therefore you are prone to infection. And the same way, because it affects the immune system, your wounds do not heal well. All right, so if you have these features, you want to be sure you don't have diabetes. And the next thing you do is go to a doctor who checks your blood and makes sure that you are within these limits. So those who go for their yearly checkup, or the more health conscious or paranoid ones might go monthly, but that's up to you. But these are some numbers that are there that your GPs or your doctors will use. So fasting is the one where you've not eaten a meal for 6 hours, and this is the level. And 2 hours after a meal, people shouldn't go higher than 7.8. So the body has a way to just keep things at a certain limit. Okay, so diabetes or excessive sugar in the blood does the most damage because it clogs up small vessels. So what they call microvascular disease, as opposed to macro. So macro is big. So that's the big stuff, but we're talking the small stuff which you can't see. And this is where it causes damage. It causes inflammation of the inner part of the blood vessel wall, and it clogs up, and therefore blood doesn't flow. So one of the reasons that diabetes has a devastating effect on eyesight is because it affects, like I said, blood vessel to the retina. So the retina is the part of the eye that is important for receiving images of light. So images of light goes through the lens into the retina, forms an image, goes to the brain, and therefore you see. what happens if the blood vessel doesn't is blocked or doesn't flow as well, it causes this area to the word is degenerate and break down, and therefore you don't receive images as well, and because you don't receive images as well, you don't see as well. Now this is a particularly dangerous problem because it's irreversible when it happens. And likewise, this is a just picture of the heart, and that's why you also get heart disease, because it clogs out all the small vessels of the lungs, of the heart rather. The good thing about a heart is that if you exercise regularly, there is extra blood vessels that forms around the blocked blood vessels to give an alternative way for which the blood can flow. But it only comes to limits. So if you overdo it, you get a bad heart and heart attack, and the result is not good. Okay, so this is a quick picture of some of the things that can happen as a complication of diabetes due to its effects on the small vessels, or to the small blood vessels. So I mentioned before the eye, and therefore retina. So it affects the retina, and if it affects too much area of the retina, you go blind. Likewise, it can affect the heart. Oh, I lost my arrow. Yep, you can affect the heart attack. It also affects the blood going to the nerves, and therefore you get peripheral neuropathy, which I mentioned earlier. Likewise, because the blood vessels don't flow well to the skin and the flesh, particularly of the far parts of your body, if you get infection, you get an injury, the blood vessels cannot deliver the nutrients, the white blood cells, the defense, the immune system there to help the healing process, and therefore you have very bad infections that do not heal, and sometimes literally it doesn't heal like forever. So we have what we call an ulcer, or a hole in the foot, and this hole can get bigger, and sometimes it's so bad that the only option is to literally amputate. I kid you not. And likewise, the kidney also depends on blood vessels going in, and so these small blood vessels that make sure the kidney functions well is also affected, and you get your kidney disease. And the end result of diabetes is bad kidneys, and bad kidneys means dialysis, and it's a vicious cycle. All right, so this is the same story, but just giving the percentage of what you're likely to get if diabetes happens. So the highest complication is really the nerve damage, so you can't feel as well, and then followed by heart disease and cataracts. So that's why if the first time you go to see a doctor with symptoms of numbness in your hands or your foot, or first time presenting with heart disease or even cataract, they'll check whether you've got diabetes right up front. Okay, so I was saying, so the simple innocent finger prick is how we diagnose diabetes, but I'm sure you've seen fancier stuff now through a formal blood test, and then there's the thing, there's now a tag, I should show you a picture, where someone presses a device, or even like WeChat like that, and it shows the sugar level, and then he can adjust his meal accordingly. So with diabetes, there are options, right? So let me talk the medical bit, because that's why I'm here. If your insulin is not enough, or you don't produce any, it's these injections that you get on a regular basis. The regularity of this injection will depend on how bad and how active you are. Then, of course, there's tablets that you can take. And what the tablets do is make your body more sensitive to insulin, or it sometimes helps the pancreas squeeze more insulin out into the system. So it all boils down to prevention and what you eat, right? So and what you really want to eat is the low glycemic index stuff, where it affects the release of glucose in a slow slope. Like the favorite turnoff, it flattens the curve, right? So what we are trying to do is avoid the glucose spike, and therefore the insulin surge or insulin spike, for all the reasons that I've talked to you about. We want to take the low GI stuff so that the sugar release is slow and low versus a high spike. So to use the popular COVID word, want to flatten the curve. Oops. And this is just a reminder, we are avoiding this spike because insulin surge means the body deals with the sugar but tells the body to build fat, which is what you don't want. And you don't want to overshoot and get hungry unnecessarily, because in spite of the sugar in your system, your body now thinks you're hungry and asks you to go eat. A slide to tell you that it's not, well, it's the top 10 tips to prevent type 2 diabetes. It's also the top 10 tips to live a healthy life and prevent all the other diseases that comes as well. Besides type 2 diabetes, there's hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, and just bad lifestyle. So balanced healthy diet, we all know, decrease trans fat, salt don't take too much, less the 导油. More fiber, so ask for more vegetable in your food. Smoking alcohol, no. Enough sleep, a bit difficult now because everyone's checking email and WhatsApp from Lily, but that's okay. The sugary foods I mentioned before, but sometimes besides what you eat, you must burn it off. So exercise regularly, and certainly if you've got type 2 diabetes, you want to check your feet. Check the areas where you can't normally feel very well, but this probably doesn't apply to you. So this is just a roundup summary again. These diabetes prevention is also living a healthy lifestyle. You want to, when you take up these behaviors and these habits, you also have other good effects. Your blood pressure and your cholesterol lowers down, and you want to organize and organize and be careful what you eat, and therefore manage your weight, and importantly, you want to get the exercise in, because you need to move to use the stuff you just eaten. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Thank you so much for your time preparing this and share the valuable information with us. So let me share my screen. Can you all hear me clearly? Is that okay? Yeah, thank you. Thanks. So thanks, Dr. Wong. Now my name is Ching Ching. Hello, everyone. And me, Lita, and Rachel will be sharing some of the solution from Market Singapore that will be helpful to tackle the diabetics. So just now from Dr. Wong sharing, right? We all know that taking enough vitamins and minerals from our food or from our diet is actually very important to help us control the blood sugar in our blood, so that we don't have all those complications that very scary, right? Just now, the hands, the fingers, even the brain, and also kidney and all that. So yeah, maybe let me take some interaction here, since we have so many participants here from all over the world. So I would like to just take a small poll and see. Let me see. I don't have the poll here. Okay, it's okay. So I will just share a little bit about the statistic. whether are we really eating healthily? Just like what Doctor has said. How many of us are actually eating, 2 servings of fruits every day? From the statistic, we can tell that there's only 50% of us that's taking in 2 servings of fruits a day. All right. Then how about vegetable? Vegetable, based on the nutritionist, is actually we need to take 5 servings of vegetable per day, and also out of this, preferably 1 or 2 servings of raw vegetable. Then it will be very helpful for our health. So based on statistics, only 91%, that means only 9% of the people are eating enough all these vegetables. And out of all these adults, right, actually only 5.1% can meet this diet, 2 servings of fruit and 5 servings of vegetable every day. So only 5.1% of us. So with this, right, how about the rest of us? Most of us actually, we can't, when we eat outside, we can't really take so much vegetable and fruits. And what happened to us? So do we really need supplementation? So what do y'all think? Since we cannot, it's not from our diet, we are not actually getting enough nutrient from our diet, right? So obviously, I think we really need to take supplementation to actually protect our health, so that we can prevent all those, the complication and disease. But look at the market now, right? Because there's so many supplements. So how do we choose what's the optimal one for us to, protect our health? So today, are these, all these pills and capsules, are they really good? Really dissolved, and are we able to absorb all the vitamins and minerals in these pills? So from this X-ray, I think the picture can tell us, right? Even after the, the capsule goes into the, the small intestine, it's still in the original state. That means it doesn't dissolve at all. Probably for some people that has poor digestion system, they may not be able to really dissolve. So imagine what happened to these pills after it's taken into our stomach, right? So here we will be sharing, Rachel and me will be sharing some of the tips to help you choose what's the actually good supplementation to take. So of course, supplementation, we are talking about the food that has not enough nutrient, we are just supplement the nutrients from that we are lacking from the food. So it's not a drug, so therefore it's not meant to be diagnosed, not meant to diagnose or treat or cure any, prevent or any disease, right? So here we would like to actually share with you this isotonics range of supplement is actually in isotonic form. There are different, different flavor or different based on different individuals' need, right? So let's take a look. What do we mean by isotonics? It's actually, we know that like 100 plus all these are like mother's milk and also our tears, right? These are all isotonic solution, meaning the concentration of the solution is very close to our body fluid. Then what is so good about isotonic is actually the pressure when it enters into our stomach. When we mix this powder with a certain amount of water, it becomes isotonic form, meaning it's easier for us to absorb into our small intestine within a short period of time. I will show you some of the picture. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so on top you can see that is isotonic form of supplementation, and the bottom is capsule type or the tablet type. So on top here, as you can see, from the first minute when we drink the isotonic supplement, right, is actually in our stomach. Right after 1 minute, the body actually recognizes a kind of like same as the body fluid, same family. So it will actually allow the fluid to go into our small intestine. Straight away, within 1 to 5 minutes, it actually start absorbing the nutrient in our small intestine. Compared to the capsule is still residing in the stomach, waiting for the stomach to digest. Okay, then 14 minutes later, everything has already been absorbed, but the capsule is still here. The stomach juice is actually trying to digest all these tablets into an isotonic form. So imagine this is taking 40 minutes to up to 2 hours. The nutrient here has already lost about maybe 70 to 80%, right? Okay, So that's about what is isotonic. So the first product that I would like to share is actually isotonics isochrome. This isochrome I'm also taking personally because I used to experience this gestational diabetes during my pregnancy. So in order to prevent, people with the gestational diabetes tends to have developed type 2 diabetes later on in our life. So to prevent that, I actually take this to help me not only to help me to control the blood sugar and also to help me boost the energy and stamina. Why is it so? Because this name isochrome, inside there's a very key ingredient called chromium. Chromium is actually a very essential trace mineral, very little, that can support the metabolism of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So it actually helps us to metabolize the protein, fats, and carbohydrate, and it supports healthy blood sugar level. Later, I'll show you just now what doctor has shared with us, the insulin resistant, right? Later, I will share with you. So this chromium actually is to help us improve the insulin, so that we can our body cells is actually able to take in the glucose more efficiently rather than floating in our blood to that cause diabetes. Okay. On top of that, it also can help cardiovascular health. There's a very high potent antioxidant coenzyme Q10 in this supplement, so it helps us to promote our cardiovascular health as well. All right. Yeah, so this is what Dr. Wong has shared with us, right? So the insulin is here from our pancreas, right? Just now Doctor was saying pancreas will release this insulin, and there's floating glucose in our blood that we take in from our food, be it the whatever burgers that we have eaten. So it's all floating in our blood. So what happens is that when there's glucose, our body will tell the pancreas to release the insulin, so that when insulin go into this insulin receptor, this is our cell, right? So the insulin attached into the receptor, this will send the signal to the cell to open up this door to let the glucose come in. All right. So if there's no glucose, if the insulin is there's this insulin resistant, meaning this receptor is not sensitive, meaning when insulin is supplied, right, it doesn't tell the cell to open this door. So therefore, it actually causes our body, our cell, this door is closed, something like this. It's closed, so the glucose cannot come in. What happens if the glucose cannot come into the cell? Then we become tired because our cell doesn't receive enough energy from the glucose. And what happened to the glucose floating in the blood is actually causing our blood sugar to rise. Yeah, so that's how important the insulin is, and the insulin resistant, meaning this receptor is getting weak, it's not able to send the signal to the cell to open up this gate. Okay, chromium is the one that actually help to promote the binding of insulin, meaning just now we saw the picture, right? When there's a chromium, it's actually help the insulin to receptor to detect the insulin, the sugar, please come into the cell instead of floating in the blood, right? And also it is critical for sugar and fat metabolism. Okay, then but why do we need to actually take supplement for chromium? Isn't our body is able to not produce enough chromium? That's true, our body can produce, but when we age, right? For example, when we are above 40 years old and above, our body is actually slowing down. Our immunity system is actually slowing down. It's decreasing the amount of the chromium that we are producing. Therefore, we can see that from the statistic, this diabetes actually from 40 years onwards, the percentage is actually manifold. It actually 20%, 30%, it just increased. It is because part of the reason is because of this chromium is reducing in our body. And also from food, right, chromium is not easy to be absorbed by nature. So it's not easy, although there are some food like broccoli and all that contains high chromium, but it's not easily absorbable by our body. And some of the food is also, the nutrient is lost when we process the food, right? Okay, and high amount of sugar in our diet, like the high carb diet, high sugar diet, it's also causing the loss of chromium in our body. Yeah, so therefore, so we are encouraged that if we are, we want to protect our, body, we should take in some of this trace mineral. Yeah. So second one is this core fat and carb inhibitor. This core, in short, we call it core. This product is actually also got chromium. That's very good to control our blood sugar, as mentioned here. And there's also other component, other ingredient that suppress appetite. How does it suppress the appetite? There's this ingredient called leptin core. Inside here is a register. I mean, it's the trademark ingredient. This leptin core can actually send the signal to our leptin in our body is a signaling system that tells our body, hey, you are hungry or you are full. That's why some people that may experience I always feel hungry, it could be this leptin is lost sensitivity. It doesn't sense the fullness anymore. It keeps telling your brain that you're hungry, go and eat more carbo and have fats food, right? So this ingredient leptin core actually can help our body to improve the sensitivity of the leptin, so that our body can keep telling our brain, hey, you're full already, don't eat so much. All right, that's the other key ingredient in this. And it also has another one called kidney bean extract. Kidney bean extract can actually reduce the fat accumulation. How does it work? It tells our body not to process too much carbo. Okay, when the carbo and fats fatty food come in, right, it tells our body, okay, enough already, don't digest so much, and it become fats in our body. So it just helps us to manage our fat accumulation in our body. Of course, to maintain also our normal cholesterol level, right? Okay, so now I would also like to invite my friend who has a very close friend that has a testimonial to share with us how she actually used this supplement to help her control her diet, and therefore what are the benefits that she has experienced. May I invite Vivian to share with us?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm so happy that I'm given the chance to share with you someone that I'm very close to of her testimonial. And this friend that I know of, she is a sweet-tooth person. She wants us to chill us to go and high tea lah, makan kuih lah, kopi lah. But she's very health conscious. She always go for a body checkup, and everything her medical result is good, except her body fat. Her body fat is always fail, and visceral fat is always fail. And then until I have the chance to introduce her this TLS program, which is the Transitions Lifestyle, teach people how to eat right, go on a low GI food, and also turn the body into fat burning machine. And after that, she also been introduced to take these supplements that Ching just recommend, like OPC, isotonic OPC, multivite, calcium B complex. She also take isochrome, TLS core that Ching just mentioned. And within a month, out of surprise, finally, her body fat start to move. She was so happy. Yeah, she almost within 1 month. Yeah, it's just within 1 month. Because in the past, she's been trying so many things and her fats cannot move. And within a month, her fats actually lost about 3%. Yeah, and you can tell that the body shape is quite big different, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
I'm also a TLS coach, and I'm happy, this coming August, we're going to have more about this TLS program. Come and learn from us on how to eat right and get to find out who is this person and how to progress by the time.
Yeah, that's great. She looked really great. Yeah. You know what the difference, right? After just how many? 3 weeks. 3 weeks, she can see significant changes in her body. Most importantly is the health condition. She's able to improve her, sugar level and also cholesterol level. That's very good. Yeah. So thanks for that.
See the waist.
Yeah, I like the hand and all that. It looks so different, and the thigh, so much different.
Yeah, the body composition is so much different. The fats and the muscle.
Yes.
Oh wow! Did you ask your friend to do the measurement? This is so exciting.
Check it out in our coming TLS program. He will share more detail.
Great. I also want to join the TLS to eat a healthy diet. and to eat is not to eat, right? Correct, if I understand correctly.
In
We have
fact,
to
you eat
eat
more
before.
than usual.
Yeah.
It's just that you have to eat the right thing and turn your
Correct.
body into a fat burning machine.
Wow.
Yes, that's amazing. Thank you, Vivian, for sharing this as testimonial with us.
I'm very happy
with
to
your
share.
friend. Yeah, thank you. So next, I would like to actually hand over to Rachel. Rachel will be sharing some of the products that she's taking, you know, or to share with us, and also how she tackled it.
Hi everyone. I'm Rachel. Yeah, so actually, I'm very excited to share here because there are so many products that's actually amazing. So besides the fact that just now, Dr. Wong has shared with us the major complications of diabetes, right? And actually, it's pretty scary. But I think, as I mentioned, right, I want to share some one or two of my favorite supplements, and I think the first one that I want to share is actually the isotonic OPC3. Okay, because in just now the slide that Dr. Wong has shared, right, you do notice that there's this particular item that he mentioned, which is actually the cardiovascular. Okay, OPC3 is actually a scientific name. It's actually a short name for this scientific term, which is oligomeric proanthocyanidins. Okay, it's such a mouthful. Okay, so we call it OPC3 for short. Okay, it is a very powerful antioxidant that basically promotes cardiovascular and joint health. So it's able to help maintain healthy cholesterol and blood glucose level. In this case, right, our talk is mainly about diabetes, right? So what does it do? It also helps to support blood vessel function. And importantly too, the side effect is that it's able to help you to support a healthy complexion, okay? So what does it made of? Okay, it's basically an isotonic capable food supplement that's made from combination of bilberry, grapeseed, grape skin, pine bark extract. Okay, in this case, the name is called pycnogenol. Okay, it's actually, all these are found to be a potent antioxidant. Okay, and what it does is that these studies have shown that OPC3 is actually more powerful than vitamin C and vitamin E in neutralizing free radicals. It is 20 times that of vitamin C and 50 times of that of vitamin E. Okay. Now, I want to share a little bit on the thing about pycnogenol. Okay, pycnogenol is actually a natural plant extract from the marine thyme bark pine tree. Okay, it's actually a very extensively researched bioflavonoid. For I think people have actually done research for this item for almost over 50 years, and there's altogether about 490 publications and 160 clinical studies. So they have found that this is actually a very powerful antioxidant that's actually found to promote cardiovascular health while helping to maintain healthy circulation by strengthening the capillaries, the arteries, and veins. So besides just now what Dr. Wong has actually shared, right? The parts of the microvascular damages that's actually a complication of the diabetes is that the parts of the body that's actually affected by the diabetes actually includes digestive system, the skin, sexual organ, teeth, gums, and the immune system. So hint here, for men who want to maintain their vitality, this is what you should take. Next, please. So another item that is very exciting, okay, for me to share is that we have actually newly launched a isotonic astaxanthin. So what is astaxanthin? Astaxanthin is actually a carotenoid that gives the reddish pigmentation in the salmon, the crab, lobster, krill. It is a very powerful.
Hello, I can't hear you.
She offline already.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe her connection is.
Yeah, she suddenly drop off.
不用紧，给他一分钟进来。
Yeah, so maybe while waiting for Rachel to rejoin, I just want to share, if you have any question, you can actually post it in the chat box and post it into the public so that Dr. Wong can see, because I saw just now someone post it to me privately. If I'm sharing the screen, I'm not able to forward it to Dr. Wong. So just go back to your this chat. Can you find the chat? Let me see. Where's the chat box? Where's my chat box? And just text it in the public text publicly rather than private to me. Is that okay? Chichi, could you help to call Rachel, ask her to rejoin? She might not hear us.
Rachel is back in this chat room, I guess.
Okay. Rachel, are you here?
Yes, I'm in.
Okay, no problem.
Hi, what happened?
We can carry on. Yeah,
Okay.
I have some chance to talk to them about posting some questions for Dr. Wong so
I
that
see.
Dr. Wong can answer them. Yeah, so
I
you can
see.
carry on.
So sorry, I don't know what happened. I got kicked out. So I was just so excited sharing about astaxanthin, right? Next thing you know, I was just gone. Okay, so where was I? So okay, backtrack. So I say that astaxanthin is a very powerful antioxidant, right? That actually is it's a very powerful free radical quencher. Okay, don't be misled by the fact that we said about the salmon and krill and whatever. Okay, this is actually a gluten-free. It's actually vegetarian. Okay, it is actually made from algae. Okay, and what it does is that it is actually 550 times stronger than vitamin E. Okay, and 6,000 times that of vitamin C. So it's a very, very power-packed antioxidant that's actually in one little sachet. So it's isotonic form. When you actually open up this sachet, you pour into 60 ml of water and you drink it like a punch. It's very tasty and really nice. Okay. So what I like about this is that it actually promotes healthy vision, supports a healthy vision focus. So right now in a situation where we are people are working from home, right? So we use a lot of electronics and we're sitting in front of a computer. So this is actually very good for you to protect your eye because it supports healthy blood flow in the eye and it promotes nourishment for the eye and helps to maintain proper eye function. Okay, and good thing about this item is that it is actually it crosses the blood-brain barrier and it also supports the blood-retinal barrier too. So it like what Dr. Wong shared just now, he said that the damage to the retina is irreversible. So it's best for us to start protecting it before it's too late. Okay, and another thing that's a sidetrack that's nothing to do with people with diabetes, right, is that this particular antioxidant is actually very good for athletes because it actually reduces the lactic acid buildup after the exercises. So, good for you if you want to recover quickly after you do a workout. Okay. And another thing about this product that's actually interesting is that it is actually very unique because we use the astaryl. So astaxanthin, right, is the most studied brand of astaxanthin in the world. Okay, there are over 50 clinical studies and 7 patents registered. It is a very established and it is a good product. So you should really try. And compared to the ones that's in the market, right, I believe the market's astaxanthin that you get to see per tab is probably about 2 mg, but in our case is 6 milligram. Okay, so who should take it? For people who smokes, people who's concerned about the age-related concern like vision, again, vision. And actually on side note, right, this is also a very potent UVB absorber. So it might be able to work as an oral sunblock. Okay, you can walk out after you take this without applying sunblock. Okay, but don't try, okay, because you want to all protect our skin. Okay, so it's always good to apply your sunblock before you step out of the house, okay, as well. So you have double protection. Now, the next item that I really, really like is actually our vitamin B. Okay, so our vitamin B complex, right? It is actually
Rachel, you are a bit softer. Can you help?
okay. Can you hear me now?
Good.
Too
Yeah.
excited. Sorry. So vitamin B complex is a very important vitamin because it is actually water soluble. By water soluble, it means that we have to actually replenish it every day. Okay, our body cannot keep it. So what does it do? So vitamin B actually supports red blood cell formation. It supports metabolism and energy strength. It supports cardiovascular health. Okay, it actually helps here, right? And it decreases stress and supports heart health. So vitamin B has been known to be a happy vitamin. So the thing that I mentioned this vitamin is because there's enough scientific evidence to recommend this supplementation of vitamin B12 specifically for patients with type 2 diabetes because they are normally treated with metformin. So if you actually are taking metformin, right, so there's actually a chance of developing a deficiency in vitamin B. And that's no good because it means that there's a chance that you might suffer nerve damages. So, in order for us to actually prevent that, okay, it's best for us to take vitamin B12 supplement. But nobody takes vitamin B12 on its own, okay? Because vitamin B, we call it complex because it's best working synergistically. So vitamin B9 works together with vitamin B6 and B12 and other nutrients. And this is especially important for people with who might have diabetes, because this is actually there's a high chance that if you have high levels of this thing called homocysteine, it's actually related to heart disease as well. So I don't know whether if you guys have actually watched this show in Netflix. It's called The Game Changer. Okay, they have actually mentioned, okay, this is a very interesting show. Okay, for people who love to take, who's actually very into eating healthy by eating vegetables and thinking of not actually becoming, not eating any more meat, right? So vitamin B is actually an important vitamin for you to actually take as a supplement. Okay, even if you take meat. So vitamin B complex is something that we should actually take every day. Okay, I do that. Okay. Now the next thing that I would recommend people to take, okay, it's not isotonic form. It's actually in capsule form, which is actually our Heart Health Omega fish oil. So our Heart Health Omega fish oil, right? What is it important is that because omega-3 is always important for us to take because we know that it actually maintains normal cholesterol level. Okay, it is actually able to maintain healthy blood pressure level, and it may actually be able to maintain normal triglyceride level. So all these are big names. Basically, what it means is that if you want to have a healthy cholesterol, you want to have a healthy blood pressure, okay, you take omega-3. And what is it? Because omega, we always call omega-3, right? Omega-3 has got EPA, DHA, and ALA. What does it do? Basically, the component in here, the EPA, right, it's actually meant to reduce inflammation. Okay, it's good for brain nervous system. It's important for cardiovascular health, joint health, muscle health. I take it every day. Okay, every day I'll take 2 tabs. And if you want to choose any omega-3, right, it's important for you to know what exactly it is made of. Okay, what is ours made of? Ours is made from sardine and anchovies that's harvested off the coast of Peru. So, you notice sardines and anchovies, they are all small fishes. Small fishes, they have short lifespan. So if it's short lifespan, right, so you don't have to worry about the fact that, accumulation of toxins in this, just like in larger fishes. So in our omega-3, right, we have actually gone through very extensive testing, okay? There's 200 quality checks during the production process, and it's actually independently tested for mercury, lead, and other heavy metals. And I think the unique thing about our omega-3 is that we have vitamin E in there. What's vitamin E? Just now we mentioned, right, vitamin E is actually an antioxidant. So it acts as an antioxidant that protects the EPA and DHA. So it's natural. It's a natural antioxidant to protect your fish oil, right? So for diabetics patients, right, one of the complication is cardiovascular health. Okay, so omega-3 here might be able to help. In fact, I think omega-3 is actually an essential supplement for everybody. Okay, I take that 2 tabs a day. So that's the end of my sharing. So after I shared with you all these, right, I'm actually pretty curious. Okay, Dr. Wong, are you there? I want to ask whether if Dr. Wong is taking any of our supplements that I just shared earlier.
Yeah, so a friend of mine named James told me about this stuff some 13 years ago, and well, he was smart to give my wife, who is a pharmacist, some reading of material, and it was quite convincing. So I know you prepared me that you're going to ask me this question. So I thought instead of saying, I'll just, if you can see this, just show you what I take every morning.
Wow. Cannot see. Can I see again?
Yeah. You need to turn off your screen.
Oh, don't share.
Yeah,
Okay,
don't
stop
share.
sharing.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Stop share. You stop share, then you can see Dr. Wong.
Yeah. Okay. Hi.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah. So this was the first one. See, the reason why it's marked OPC at the top is because my mom needs help looking at it. So all of our product has a little label on top. So anyway, that's a quirk. So we've been taking this stuff for 13 years because it seems to work.
Wow. Which is your favorite, Dr. Wong?
I was explaining earlier, there's no favorite. They all have their little function. All right, so what was the word? Disclosure, right? So I have no benefits from promoting this product. If you sign up with any of them, none of their profits come to me. So I'm only saying this from just the pure love of this product because it seems to work. So I think they talk about the isotonics. So I'm not a salesman. I'm not been prepared for this. So the isotonics product is because of its absorption. So if you take X amount of powder, X amount of stuff goes into your system. So if you think and you believe in the benefits of vitamin B, C, magnesium, obviously I take those as why I said it. You can take it in the form of capsules or tablets, of which we know doesn't absorb completely, or you can take it in the form of the powder, which you know absorbs fully. So the B, C, magnesium stuff is whether you believe in the science. Then the OPC is more because of the study shows it's got from the pine tree bark in France. So if you go for any of the isotonics talk, this guy who says he's a doctor and he will show trees of France with pine and basically that product. Sorry, skin of pine
coaster, right?
Yeah. I mean, people are always researching to find that product that does well for everybody, and they found that OPC has certain properties, and I think one of their talks they'll show the standard product slides, but blood pressure and particularly its anti-inflammatory properties. Of late, people are now blaming everything on inflammation, right? Atherosclerosis, which is hypertension from diabetes, and even high cholesterol. They used to blame cholesterol as the bad guy, but now they're blaming inflammation as the bad guy. So certainly there's no studies promoting OPC, but the theory is certainly promoting OPC. So if you talk to people who take OPC, they have their stories about how their lives changed, etc. So I've used the product and I'm just sharing why I used it. Do I need to say some more? I'm doing your work for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are actually opening for people to ask questions. So let us take a look.
Rachel, actually, Dr. Wong will pick up some of the questions from the chat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So I promised to do that. So I'm looking at it now. Someone asked, astaxanthin, is there any difference between isotonic form and capsule? So like I was saying before, the isotonics form is proprietary. Yeah, that's a proprietary formula. It's guaranteed for its absorption. So you take X amount of the product, you know, X amount will go into your body. With capsule, you don't really know. The absorption is variable, so the results may differ. Can children take it? They can, but I mean, people who sell the product would say, go ahead, no harm. But at the same time, they don't really need to take it at the moment. It's more for people who potentially may have potential vascular damage like age, diabetes. They're more useful to have. Children can take by taking fish and eggs will be good enough, which have this compound. Someone asked about diabetic patient taking TLS protein shake. Of course, man, that's what it's for. Again, not promoting for them, but just my nature. Go attend the TLS talk. as a side note, my mom loves that product. Okay. Then what else? I think, and then there's one more question I'll address. What is good for insulin resistance? So insulin resistant basically is pre-diabetes or in some cases diabetes. So all the products that that's been brought up that helps control sugar metabolism, like that. Again, this is just an opinion, and does not representing any medical authority. So isochrome so theoretically can help you with that, and TRS. So TRS has a way of its low glycemic index, and at the same time helps you feel full faster, and therefore you don't want to eat and crave these simple sugars. Okay. Hi, Dr. Wong. For those who can't swallow pill, can a TRS call blend? All right. I'll leave that to the product specialist to explain. Okay. I'll just answer it. What's the difference between diabetes type 1 and 2, and how severely would an early stage diabetic condition affect our vision? So, so in the beginning of my talk, I mentioned the only difference between type 1 and type 2 is that type 1 is you can't prevent it. You are destined to have it. It's pure bad luck. So some autoimmune process has happened in your body, destroys the cells that produce insulin. Type 2 refers to as you get older, a couple of process happens. Either your body just needs more insulin, or your body can't handle the sugar, or just as you age, the pancreas just doesn't produce as much insulin. So eventually type 2 diabetics will still need insulin injections, but type 1 is genetic. You can't prevent it. It's just pure bad luck. How severely would early stage diabetic condition affect our vision? So that's the important thing. If you are diagnosed as diabetic at whatever age, if you control the disease well, then the complications are less likely to happen. So if you, even though you get diabetes at 20, but if you look after yourself well, take the medication, follow the right habits, eat properly, and then you can prevent the complication from happening, and therefore the complication which is one that affects vision is less likely to happen. Of course, regular checkup to detect when a problem has started is also essential, so that you can take measures to prevent it from getting worse. Don't want to push a product, but actually the ASUS, I can't pronounce it, is actually quite good if you're starting to have products, a problem with your vision when you're diabetic. All right. I think that's about it.
Dr. Wong, there's a question that asks, can a person with diabetes take the supplements since there's sugar on the supplements?
Now, that's a tricky question, only because I don't know the sugar profile of the product, so I will not answer the question. I'll let the medical professional that fronts isotonics provide those answers.
Yeah, maybe you can check with your health professionals. I mean, your doctor about that. I know the sugar content in each isotonic is about 2 grams to 3 grams each serving. Yeah.
It's so only equivalent to 2 grams.
Yeah. Each.
No harm.
Yeah.
So there you go, 2 grapes. So if you take an isotonic drink, you cut down on 2 grapes.
Yeah, precisely. All right. Is there any more question? Let me see. Please,
I think 这样吧.
Okay. Yeah, that's about all. Some of the question that's maybe
we might write in and we will find out. And then maybe those who has questions that's not been answered that pertains to Market America products, perhaps you email over to us, then we will ask the office.
Or maybe just talk to the person who invited you to this talk. Then they can share more information with you. Yeah.
All right, with that, thank you everybody for coming. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wong.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. It's very late for you. Your sharing was wonderful.
I hope you don't go and take your supper now.
12 midnight supper is really a no-no, you know.
Dr. Wong is actually in Australia. He's 2 hours behind us, ahead of us. Yeah.
Maybe a cup of isochrome before I sleep. Hey.
Yeah.
Seriously, Habok.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Chris.
joining.
Thank you, everyone.